Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. Bismillah ir-Rahman ir-Rahim. Welcome back to our channel. After a comprehensive overview about the first, second, third, and the fourth angel created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are Hazrat Jibreel, Hazrat Mikael, Hazrat Israfil, and Hazrat Azrail alayhima as-salam, we are now exploring the fifth angels created, the pair angel, or called the companion angels. Angel Munkar and Angel Nakeer, widely known as Malak al-Qabr, the questioner of the grave. Among the ranks of the countless angels created by Allah is a unique and awe-inspiring figure known as Hazrat Munkar, alongside his companion Hazrat Nakeer. Hazrat Munkar holds a distinct position within the divine order of creation. Their role does not pertain to the management of worldly affairs, nor to the descent of revelation, nor to the taking of souls, but to the testing of the soul in the grave, in that mysterious phase of existence between death and resurrection known as Barzakh. Hazrat Munkar's name, derived from the Arabic root Nun Kafra, implies something unknown, rejected, or strange, for his very appearance and presence in the grave is unfamiliar to the deceased, a being they have never encountered before, appearing in a form that is both severe and fearsome, reflecting the seriousness of the questioning that is to come. Hazrat Munkar's name, meaning unknown or strange, reflects both the strangeness of the world of Barzakh and the unfamiliarity of the grave for every soul. His terrifying form is a reflection of the gravity of the soul's first confrontation with the consequences of its earthly life. The name Nakeer derives from the Arabic root Nun Kafra, much like Hazrat Munkar, implying something strange, unfamiliar, and rejected. The scholars explain that this name reflects his fearsome unknown appearance to the deceased and the terrifying nature of his questioning. The name Nakeer conveys the concept of something unfamiliar, something denied or unknown. In Barzakh, the world of the unseen, Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer's name mirrors the alien nature of the grave to the soul, where neither wealth, lineage nor reputation can follow, only faith and deeds. Their duty represents Allah's justice, holding every soul to account not based on the claims of the tongue alone, but on the true state of the heart and actions. Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer is charged with one of the most solemn and inevitable tasks assigned to any creation: to question the dead in their graves, confronting every soul with the reality of their faith and deeds. Hazrat Munkar, along with Hazrat Nakeer, symbolizes the justice and mercy of Allah. While the questioning is severe, it is also fair, a direct consequence of the life one has lived. It marks the moment when faith, deeds, and truth are laid bare beyond worldly deception. Before going further, a quick update: all our videos are available in both English and Urdu languages on our YouTube channel. You can find them by navigating to our playlists, where all our videos are available for your convenience. Now let's continue. Creation of Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer. Like all angels, Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer were created from Nur Muhammadi, meaning the divine light of Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet said in a hadith reported by Muslim, in Sahih Muslim 2996, the angels were created from light, the jinn from smokeless fire, and Adam from what has been described to you. Among this luminous creation are two awe-inspiring angels specifically appointed for the realm of Barzakh, the life between death and resurrection: Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer. These two angels have a distinct and unique task. Unlike the cosmic duties of Hazrat Jibreel, Hazrat Mikael, Hazrat Israfil, or Hazrat Azrail, their task is entirely focused on the questioning in the grave, testing the deceased regarding their faith. Their form and strength, His voice and presence were designed by Allah to strike awe into every soul and to mark the soul's first encounter with the unseen world of Barzakh. Islamic narrations do not precisely record the moment of their creation, but scholars state that he, like other angels, they were brought into existence before the creation of humankind as part of the divine host assigned specific tasks within the cosmos and the unseen realms. Their creation was not for the overseeing of the heavens nor the carrying of revelation, but for a role that reflects Allah's ultimate justice, to hold each soul accountable in its earliest stage after death. Their might, form and fearsome nature were shaped in accordance with this sacred duty. In our previous videos, we also explored the verse on how Allah created every living thing from water. The creation of the waters above the dome and below the flat earth firmament, dome above the flat earth, actual shape of the earth according to the Quran and Islamic cosmology, primordial waters of the heavens, the kursi meaning the footstool of Allah, the arsh meaning the throne of Allah, Lawh and Mahfuz, the sacred tablet, the pen called Al-Qalam, why Allah created the universe, the first creation of Allah, the 7 portals and dimensions of the universe, and discussed where Allah was before He created the universe. If you haven't watched them yet, please do. Now let's continue. Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer's appearance. Though not described in the Quran, authentic narrations and classical works such as Ibn Hajar's Fath al-Bari and Imam al-Qurtubi's At-Tadkira speak about Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer's appearance. They are said to be a being of immense terrifying stature. Their face is described as dark, his eyes blazing like lightning and voice like thunder. They are said to possess massive stature, a dark and fearsome face, and blazing blue eyes. Voice is likened to thunder, and his presence in the narrow darkness of the grave is enough to terrify even the most fearless of the living. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said in a hadith, when a person is placed in their grave, 2 dark blue-eyed angels come to him. One is called Munkar and the other Nakeer. As stated in Sunan al-Tirmidhi 1071, their face is unfamiliar, his form otherworldly, and his presence is enough to strike fear into even the boldest of souls, a reminder of the absolute seriousness of the moment of questioning. This arrival marks a moment beyond worldly comprehension, when a soul realizes that the test of life has concluded, and now only the reckoning remains. How can Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer be present in so many graves at one time? This is a question that has puzzled many minds, and scholars, especially in Aqidah, meaning creed, and in Tasawwuf, meaning spirituality, have given deep answers. Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer are not like human beings limited by time and space. They are angels created from light, and angels are not bound by the material restrictions of bodies. Just as Angel Jibril could be present with the Prophet in the cave of Hira, while also carrying out tasks in the heavens, and just as the angel of death, Hazrat Azrael takes countless souls at the same instant, so too can angels Munkar and Nakeer appear to every soul in the grave simultaneously. Classical scholars like Hazrat Imam al-Nawawi and Hazrat Ibn Hajar explain that Allah has given them the ability to take on multiple forms at once, or that there are many angels of the same rank, all carrying out the same duty under the leadership of Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer. Tasawwufi commentators add a deeper layer. The angels of questioning are manifestations of divine Jalal, meaning majesty. So their presence in each grave is not a limitation of one angel splitting into many, but rather the power of Allah creating their presence wherever needed, like the sun reflecting in thousands of mirrors without diminishing its light. In this way, every soul faces its own personal Munkar and Nakeer, tailored to its state, gentle for the believer, terrifying for the hypocrite. Thus, the mystery of how they appear in every grave is a reminder of Allah's limitless power and the unseen realities beyond human comprehension. The role of Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer in the grave. Once a soul is placed in the grave and the final footsteps of mourners have faded, Hazrat Munkar, along with his counterpart Hazrat Nakeer, descend into the grave. Together, they sit the soul up, whether in a bodily or spiritual sense, and begin the questioning of the grave, an event that every single human will face. The core questions, simple in form yet profound in consequence, are: who is your Lord? What is your religion? What do you say about this man who was sent among you? Referring to the Prophet Muhammad, this moment is both a trial and a mercy. For those firm in faith, it is ease, but for those who lived in heedlessness, it is terror and regret. The responses to these questions determine the initial state of the soul's existence in Barzakh, whether it will rest in peace or endure torment. When questioning the righteous believer, Nakeer appears in a gentler form. The believer, filled with faith and certainty, answers with ease, "My Lord is Allah, my religion is Islam, my Prophet is Muhammad, peace be upon him." At this, Hazrat Nakeer will announce the glad tidings of peace, and a window to paradise is opened. For the disbeliever or hypocrite, however, Nakeer appears in his most terrifying form. The unfaithful soul, confused and frightened, will stammer, I do not know." At this, the grave constricts and the punishment begins, with Hazrat Nakeer as the harbinger of that trial. The questions of Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer. The Prophet described in several authentic narrations what happens when a person is placed in the grave and Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer come. As stated in Sunan Abu Dawood 4753, Musnad Ahmad 18534, Sahih al-Hakim and other similar hadiths. The Prophet said, when the believer is placed in his grave, he sits up and two angels come to him. They ask him, "Who is your Lord?" He says, "My Lord is Allah." They ask, "What is your religion?" He says, "My religion is Islam." They ask, "Who is this man who was sent among you?" He says, "He is the messenger of Allah." Then a voice calls out from heaven, "My servant has spoken the truth. Prepare for him a bed from paradise and open for him a gate to paradise." As stated Musnad Ahmad, Sahih al-Bukhari and several hadiths. The Prophet said, as for the hypocrite and disbeliever, when asked, "Who is your Lord? What is your religion? What do you say about this man?" he will reply, "I do not know. I used to say what the people said." Then it will be said, "He has lied. Furnish his grave with fire and open a gate for him to hell." In Sunan Ibn Majah 4269, it is added, the believer will reply with certainty, while the hypocrite or disbeliever will say, I do not know. I used to say what the people said." This shows three main questions. Who is your Lord? Man Rabbuka, what is your religion? Ma Denuka, what do you say about this man who was sent among you? Ma Takulu fi hada rajul. However, there is a great twist that has been left unspoken by present-day scholars, and that is the image of the Prophet in the grave. As stated in Sahih Muslim 2870 and many similar hadiths, where the hadith wording says, "What do you say about this man who was sent among you?" Hazrat Imam al-Qurtubi in At-Tadhkirah and Hazrat Ibn Hajar in Fath al-Bari explain the phrase, "This man shows that the Prophet is shown to the dead in the form of a picture of the face of the Prophet, with divine light indicating a form of seeing him, not just being told." This is where the believer recognizes him with clarity only if he has seen the Prophet during his lifetime, either personally, in dreams, or in kashf, meaning spiritual unveilings. According to many narrations, when the angels ask about the Prophet Muhammad's face will be shown to the dead person, and these narrations are left unsaid and unspoken to divert the Ummah and not show the true path towards the divine knowledge. Likewise, several hadiths describe that the Prophet will be presented to the deceased in a recognizable form, so the believer can affirm his faith. Hazrat Imam al-Suyuti and many Tasawwufi commentaries expand on this by stating that the veils of the grave are lifted and the reality of the Prophet's light, meaning Nur Muhammadi, appears. This is why the angels ask not what do you say about Muhammad, but rather what do you say about this man, pointing to him in vision. Hazrat Imam al-Kushairi in his Risala and Hazrat Ibn Arabi in his Futuhat al-Makkiyah say, the grave's questioning is not merely verbal but experiential. The answers are not memorized but rather flow from the state of the soul. The believer naturally answers with certainty because his heart lived with Allah, Islam and the Prophet. Tasawwufi scholars emphasize that in the grave, the Prophet's reality, meaning Hakika Muhammadiyah, appears as a light. The righteous soul recognizes him instantly, while the hypocrite sees only a shadow and cannot respond. Other questions mentioned in reports. While the three are the agreed upon questions, some scholars mention additional questions from other narrations like, who is your Prophet? Variant wording but same as the third main question. What is your book? Reported in some narrations, what did you do with your life? Found in Athar, meaning sayings of companions of the Prophet. Hazrat Musnad al-Baza adds the question, what is your book? Hazrat Ibn Masud mentions being asked, what did you do with your knowledge? Some narrations add, who is your Imam? Or what is your Qibla? Tasawwufi commentators and Mufassirun extend these questions to 5 or more, including book meaning Quran and Qibla meaning direction of prayer. Several other scholars to 7, adding Imam and deeds to these 5 questions. Hazrat Imam al-Suyuti in Sharh Sudur notes that the core is 3, but depending on a person's state, more may be asked. Hazrat Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani in Gunyat al-Talibin says that the common believer faces the 3, but the seeker of higher truth may be asked about the Quran, deeds and the Murshid or Imam as well. What does these questions in the grave mean? Hazrat Imam al-Ghazali in his Ihya Ulum al-Din state that the grave's questioning is not like an oral exam. The soul itself speaks its truth. If the heart lived with dhikr of Allah, the answers flow naturally. If the tongue had faith but the heart was empty, it fails. He interprets that Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer as the 2 questioning forces within the heart. Hazrat Munkar is the aspect of the soul that refuses truth when first encountered, that says, I do not know this. Hazrat Nakeer is the aspect of the ego that resists surrender, that says, I will not accept this. Thus, the questioning of the grave is not simply about words, but about the unveiling, meaning kashaf, of whether the soul truly lived with Allah, Islam and Prophet Muhammad. The believer answers with certainty because the heart already carried those answers, not because the tongue memorized them. Hazrat Ibn Arabi, widely known as Sheikh al-Akbar, states in his Futuhat al-Makkiyah that the angels of questioning are not external beings only, but also inner realities. Angel Munkar is the rejection of truth and Angel Nakeer is denial of certainty. Thus, every soul faces its own denial and affirmation in the grave. Ease for the Awliya. Awliya mentioned that for the Gnostic meaning Arif Billah, sometimes no questions are asked. Instead, the grave expands immediately because his heart already lived in remembrance of Allah. Hazrat Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, the Wali of all Walis, states in his Gunyat al-Talibin that the grave test is the unveiling, meaning kashaf, of what a person carried in life. If he carried Iman, the answers come effortlessly. If he carried hypocrisy, the tongue is locked. He also states that the awliya, meaning friends of Allah, often pass through this questioning without hardship. For them, the angels Munkar and Nakeer are not terrifying strangers but familiar companions, because their souls already lived in the presence of angels during dhikr and muraqabah, meaning spiritual vigilance. For some saints, no questions are asked at all. Their entire life was an answer. Hazrat Imam al-Suyuti is his Shara Sudur state that the righteous saint or wali sometimes does not face questioning at all. The grave expands immediately because his whole life was an answer. Many hadith narrations about martyrs state no questioning for shuhada, meaning martyrs. As Sunan Abu Dawood 4753 continues, then his grave will be expanded 70 cubits by 70. It will be filled with light, and he will be told, sleep like a bridegroom until he is awakened by the most beloved of his family. Batin, or inner meaning of angels Munkar and Nakeer. In Tasawwufi tafsir, Munkar is the part of the nafs that denied Allah. Nakeer is the ego that rejected divine commands. In the grave, these are externalized as angels, confronting the soul with its truth. Tasawwufi masters explain that Munkar and Nakeer are not only external angels sent to test the soul, but they also represent the hidden states of the nafs, meaning ego self, that are unveiled at death. Munkar in Arabic means the rejected, the unfamiliar, the denied. Nakeer means the unknown, the strange. Thus, when the soul enters the grave, it encounters these two forces which reflect back to it, everything it denied and everything it refused to recognize. If the person lived with faith and remembrance, the angels appear gently and lovingly, and the questioning flows easily. But if the person's heart was estranged from truth, the angels appear terrifying as his own inner denial has taken form. According to Hazrat Imam al-Ghazali, stated in Ihya Ulum al-Din, these angels are part of the Divine Majesty, meaning Jalal, which confronts the soul with awe. They shake the certainty of the hypocrite, but strengthen the faith of the believer. Awliya and masters stressed that the trial of the grave is not arbitrary, it is the mirror of one's inner state. To the believer, Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer appear in forms of light and beauty. To the denier, they appear dark and frightening, with voices like thunder. Thus their forms are shaped by the soul's relationship with Allah during life. Hazrat Imam al-Kushairi in Risala al-Kushairiyah explains, the reason the angels are called Munkar and Nakeer is that the soul finds them unfamiliar and strange at the moment of death. The hypocrite, who never trained his heart in dhikr, finds everything about them terrifying. But the true believer finds no strangeness, because he lived his life in companionship with angels, through remembrance, prayer, and love of the Prophet Muhammad. For him, the grave questioning is simply a continuation of what his heart already knows. Question about Murshid, or widely called Imam, in the grave. In narrations like in Musnad al-Barzakh and later compilations, there are mentions that the deceased may be asked, Man imamuka, or Man murshiduka, meaning who is your Imam or Murshid. The reasoning is just as the Quran says in chapter 17 verse 71, on the day we will call every people with their Imam, which extends to the meaning to one's Imam or Murshid, known as a spiritual guide or leader. Every seeker will be raised with his Shaykh or Murshid, because the Murshid is the one who connected him to the Prophet. Maulana Rumi in his Mathnawi writes, without a guide, the path is full of thorns. With a guide, it comes a rose garden. On Qiyamah, the Murshid's or Shaykh's intercession, meaning Shafa'ah and Barakah, may help the disciple cross the Sirat safely. Thus Awliya say, besides Lord, religion, Prophet, the soul may also be asked, who guided you in following the Prophet? Why a Murshid is needed in life? Awliya and Tasawwufi masters stress that the questions in the grave are not about information but about states of the heart. Without a Murshid Kamil, meaning perfect spiritual guide, the seeker's ego, meaning nafs, can trick him into believing he has faith while his heart may be empty. Hazrat Imam al-Ghazali explains that a sheikh is like a physician. Just as medicine is needed to heal the body, a guide is needed to heal the soul. The sheikh polishes the mirror of the heart so that when death comes, the answers to the angels are not forced but flow naturally. Awliya narrate many visions where disciples felt the help of their Shaykh or Murshid even after death. Hazrat Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani in his Futu al-Ghaib and Gunyat al-Talibin state that he promised his murids, "My hand will reach my followers even in their graves." This means his spiritual barakah helps him at the moment of questioning. The Murshid prepares the disciple in dunya by drilling him in zikar, murakaba and love of the Prophet, so when angels Munkar and Nakeer appear, the heart is firm. The spiritual logic behind this is that the Prophet is the final and complete guide, but the Murshid Kamil is a mirror of the prophetic light in every age. By training under a Murshid, the seeker becomes accustomed to divine questioning. His tongue, heart and soul are disciplined. In the grave, when the angels ask, "Who is this man?" pointing to the Prophet, the disciple recognizes him easily because he already recognized the Prophet's light through the guidance of his Shaykh or Murshid. In Tasawwufi poetry and litanies, the Murshid is often called Sahib-e-Qabr, meaning the companion in the grave, because his training ensures that when Munkar and Nakeer appear, the disciple is not alone. Therefore, the role of Murshid is to prepare the seeker's heart in dunya to answer in the grave and assist spiritually in Barzakh through barakah and connection, and on Qiyamah, disciples are raised with their Shaykh as per Quran 1771. Without a Murshid, the seeker may fail at the most crucial moment, because memorized knowledge is not enough. Only a heart polished by guidance can give true answers. Role of angels Munkar and Nakeer in the Quran and Hadith. The Quran does not mention Munkar and Nakeer by name, but it emphasizes the certainty of questioning after death. In Surah 50 verse 19, the Quran states, "In the agony of death comes in truth, that is what you were trying to escape." In Surah 14 verse 27, the Quran states, "Allah will make firm those who believe with the firm word in worldly life and in the hereafter, and Allah sends astray the wrongdoers. And Allah does what He wills." Scholars of tafsir, including Hazrat ibn Kathir, explain this firm word, meaning al-Qawid at-Habit, as the ability to answer the angels of the grave. The unique status of Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer among the angels. Unlike the angels Jibril, Mikail, Israfil and Azrail, whose roles concern the governance of cosmic and worldly affairs, Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer belongs to a class of angels connected to the unseen dimensions of the afterlife. Their duty places him in constant readiness to descend into the graves of the deceased, carrying out his duty without fail for every soul, whether a prophet, king, pauper or sinner. They are not of the angels who intercede, nor of those who bear witness, but of those who interrogate, ensuring that none may cross into the next stage without being held to account. Hazrat Munkar's and Nakeer's companions and the angels of Barzakh. Though angels Munkar and Nakeer are the primary questioners of the grave, Islamic tradition speaks of other angels who assist in the affairs of Barzakh. There are angels who welcome the soul, others who bring glad tidings or punishment, and others who guard the grave's boundaries. Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer hold a chief position among them, as the harbinger of divine questioning, the one whose voice marks the soul's first reckoning. The role of Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer in Islamic reminders of the hereafter. The mention of Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer serves as a powerful reminder for believers. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, often reminded his companions of the trials of the grave and the questioning by angels Munkar and Nakeer. He said, as stated in Sunan Ibn Majah 4267, "Seek refuge with Allah from the punishment of the grave, for the grave is the first stage of the hereafter." It was among the most emphasized aspects of preparing for death. spoke of the grave's questioning as a trial that no one would escape. Our Prophet also said, "Seek refuge with Allah from the punishment of the grave," stated in Sahih al-Bukhari 1347. Muslims are encouraged to make dua to be spared from the terrors of the grave and to pass the questioning of Munkar and Nakeer with ease. The enduring role of angels Munkar and Nakeer until the day of judgment. North Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer will continue his duty until the final hour arrives. Every soul that departs this world will meet him in the grave. Only when the trumpet is blown by Israfil, ending all life, and when the earth gives up its dead, will Hazrat Munkar's task conclude. Thereafter, like all creation, his fate rests with Allah alone. Hazrat Nakeer's mission will continue until the day of judgment. Every soul that dies, whether buried in earth, lost at sea, or consumed by fire, will encounter him. His questioning is universal and indiscriminate. Only with the second blowing of the trumpet by Israfil, which signals the resurrection, will Nakeer's duty be concluded. Hazrat Munkar's and Nakeer's role in the grave and Barzakh. For the believer, when a pious soul is laid in the grave, Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer appear. Their presence is awe-inspiring, their voice is thunderous, their sight terrifying. But Allah grants the believer thabat, meaning steadfastness, so he answers calmly, Rabbi Allah, Dini al-Islam, Nabi Muhammad. His grave then expands, a window to paradise is opened, and his resting place becomes fragrant with gardens of Jannah. For the believer, Allah gives firmness, as in Quran chapter 14 verse 27. Allah makes firm those who believe with the firm word in this worldly life, and in the hereafter. The believer answers with ease, "My Lord is Allah, my religion is Islam, and this man is Muhammad." The grave then opens to a window of paradise for the non-believer or hypocrite. When asked, he falters, saying, "I don't know." His grave then tightens until his ribs interlock, and a window to hell is opened, filling his abode with heat and punishment. For the disbeliever or hypocrite, confusion overcomes them. They say, I don't know," and their grave opens to a window of hellfire. Hazrat Munkar and Nakeer's task is not to punish, that is done by other angels, but to conduct the interview of truth at the threshold of eternity. Thus, Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer are the guardians of truth in Barzakh, the examiners of every soul, whether common or noble. While the angelic hierarchy includes Jibreel, Mikael, Israfil, Azrael, and others governing cosmic functions, Munkar and Nakeer belongs to a unique class assigned exclusively to the unseen realms of the afterlife. Their constant duty is to question souls for every human ever born, regardless of their status. They are not a scribe of deeds, nor a deliverer of revelation, but questioner of truth, a witness to every soul's final answers before the resurrection. The legacy of Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer as a reminder to mankind. The knowledge of these and their questioning has been passed down through generations as a powerful reminder of the shortness of life and the certainty of the grave. Their names are invoked in sermons, funerals, and Islamic texts to awaken hearts from heedlessness. They stand as a sign of Allah's mercy and justice, giving each soul the opportunity to proclaim its faith and to taste the consequences of its deeds before the resurrection. Encounters with prophets. While Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer question the common people, the prophets are exempt. A narration from Al-Hakim states, "The prophets are not questioned in their graves. This is because they are already the bearers of truth, their status confirmed by Allah. Instead, their graves are illuminated immediately." Yet, Hadith and Tasawwufi commentaries say that the prophets did see the realities of Munkar and Nakeer in their lifetime itself, knowing their awe and majesty as part of their understanding of the afterlife. Encounters with awliya and saints. The great awliya, meaning friends of Allah, often narrated spiritual unveilings, meaning kashif, of Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer. Hazrat Imam al-Ghazali in Ihya Ulum ad-Din explains, "For the saint who lives constantly in remembrance of Allah, the questioning of the grave is merely an extension of his dhikr. He has already answered, Allah is my Lord with every breath in life." Thus, when Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer ask him, his heart responds effortlessly, and the angels turn gentle, becoming bearers of glad tidings. Hazrat Jalaluddin Rumi alludes in his Mathnawi, "Fear not the two dark angels, for they are the servants of your beloved. If your heart has lived with truth, their terror is but a veil. Behind it lies the smile of paradise." Hazrat Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani is reported in some hagiographies to have spoken of disciples seeing visions of Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer in states of muraqabah, meaning deep meditation, preparing themselves spiritually for that questioning before death itself. Tasawwufi narrations about great awliya such as Hazrat Abdul Qadir Jilani and Hazrat Jalaluddin Rumi suggest that when Hazrat Munkar and Hazrat Nakeer approached them, their presence turned into light and peace, as their remembrance of Allah had already prepared them for the questions. Visions in real life, dreams and kashif. In real life, seeing angels Munkar and Nakeer physically in this world is not recorded for ordinary believers. Their domain is the unseen realm of Barzakh. However, some awliya are granted symbolic visions of them as a preparation. In dreams, many pious Muslims have reported seeing angels resembling the terrifying description of angels Munkar and Nakeer in dreams, usually as a divine warning to prepare for death. In kashif, meaning unveiling, advanced mystics have spoken of visions where they see the form of angels Munkar and Nakeer as a reminder of the questioning of the grave. In such unveilings, their role appears not as punishment, but as guides awakening the soul to accountability. While rare, some mystics report visions of Nakeer during deep kashif. These are usually symbolic. Seeing them in terrifying form may indicate one's soul needs repentance. Seeing them calm or silent may signify spiritual readiness for the grave. Such visions remind seekers that every zikr, every sujood, every act of sincerity is preparation for the moment of Nakeer's questioning. The Tasawwufi masters explain, "For the heedless, angels Munkar and Nakeer come as terrifying strangers. For the lover of Allah, they come as familiar friends, reminding him of the answers his heart has known all along." Thus, the questioning of the grave is not only an external test, but a reflection of one's inner state during life. In Tasawwuf, Hazrat Munkar's and Nakeer's questioning is not only about words, but about the state of the heart. If one's heart in life was filled with zikrullah, meaning remembrance of Allah, then the questions are answered not by the tongue, but by the soul itself, effortlessly. But if the heart was empty, then even a knowledgeable tongue cannot save the soul. Tasawwufi masters interpret the role of Nakeer as a mirror of the inner reality. The questions do not inform Allah, for Allah already knows, but they unveil to the soul its true condition. In dreams and kashif, some awliya have described visions of angels Munkar and Nakeer as stern guardians at the entrance of Barzakh, whose voices echo divine justice. How to prepare oneself from the punishment of the grave. To truly prepare oneself for the questioning of the grave, the Sufi masters teach that the journey begins with finding a Murshid Kamil, a perfected spiritual guide who has himself traversed the path and reached the station of nearness to Allah. Such a guide is called the Shroud Murshid, because just as a shroud accompanies you into the grave, the barakah and training of the sheikh accompany the disciple into Barzakh. Once you find this guide, you must become a makbul, meaning accepted one in his company by obedience, service and sincerity, then begin spiritual progression through the practices he prescribes, dhikr meaning remembrance of Allah with the breath and heartbeat until it engraves itself upon the soul, learning how to offer salah with presence of heart, reciting the Quran daily and purifying one's character from pride, envy and arrogance. Complete submission meaning taslim to the sheikh is vital, for he molds the disciple's heart until it becomes naturally able to answer the grave's questions without hesitation. Among the most important practices for protection in the grave is the daily recitation of Surah Al-Mulk at night. As the Prophet said, it is the protector from the punishment of the grave, as stated in Tirmidhi 2891. Other steps include accountability. Their role reminds the living that life is but a fleeting moment, followed by reckoning and eternal consequence. To prepare for their questions is to live a life of sincerity, faith and remembrance of Allah. For in the darkness of the grave, the tongue will speak only what the heart truly held. They hold a fearsome and indispensable role. Their duty is a reflection of divine justice, ensuring no soul may pass to the next stage of the hereafter without reckoning. To prepare for these angels is to purify one's heart, to remain firm upon faith, and to remember that the grave is the threshold to eternity. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoy this content and find it beneficial, we kindly ask you to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more authentic faith-strengthening content. And let's continue this journey of knowledge together. Inshallah, see you in the next video. Allah Hafiz.